Have you ever wondered what the longest standing execution in history was? Well, look no further as we dive into the barbaric practice of impalement, a gruesome method of execution that has been used throughout history. From Henry VIII to Vlad the Impaler, this form of punishment has been used to send a clear message to the people that their ruling authority will not tolerate any offenses. In this video, we will explore the different forms of impalement, including longitudinal and transversal impalement, and even the use of metal hooks to prolong a person's suffering. Join me as we take a deep dive into the brutal history of impalement and discover the longest standing execution ever recorded. Capital punishment has been used throughout history in various forms and by different countries. Unfortunately, many leaders have been accused of brutal and savage massacres of their people. One such example is King Henry VIII, who gained notoriety for ordering the beheading of two of his wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard. Furthermore, in England, hanging, drawing, and quartering was a gruesome method of execution, used primarily for those convicted of treason. Queen Mary I, also known as Bloody Mary, earned her infamous nickname for ordering the burning of many Protestants during her reign. Likewise, Vlad III, also known as Vlad Dracula, is notorious for his brutal methods of executing people in his kingdom. Despite this, Vlad is celebrated as a hero and revered as a great leader in Wallachia and Romania. He is considered one of the most influential rulers in Wallachia's history, but it is his gruesome executions that remain his most famous legacy. It is important to note that the use of capital punishment and its methods have been the subject of significant controversy throughout history. While some argue that it serves as a deterrent and an appropriate punishment for serious crimes, others argue that it is inhumane and violates human rights. As societies continue to evolve, it is essential to consider the ethics and implications of capital punishment, and to seek alternatives that are more humane and just. Impalement, a brutal and horrifying form of torture and execution, involves the insertion of a stake, pole, spear, or other object through the body, usually the torso. This gruesome practice, which could be carried out using wooden or metal objects, was often performed in public to send a clear message to the people that the government or ruling authority would not tolerate any offenses against them. Impalement was a severe form of capital punishment that was reserved for rebels, traitors, and those who had violated military laws. Certain crimes that were loathed by the public were punished through impalement, a method that was prevalent in many countries. Those who committed heinous acts, such as grave robbery, highway robbery, or theft, were subject to this form of punishment. The longitudinal method of impalement, where the body was pierced through in a vertical manner, was one of the ways this punishment was carried out. An account of impalement that took place in Egypt during the 1600s provided insight into the brutal nature of this practice. In cases of longitudinal impalement where a stake or spike pierces someone's internal organs, the duration of survival can vary greatly. While some individuals may pass away in mere seconds, others may manage to survive for several hours, days, or even longer. The survivability ultimately hinges on the location of the stake or spike. There have been recorded instances of people surviving for several days, such as a man in the Dutch East Indies who managed to live for 6 days after being impaled. Some surgeons even claim that individuals could survive for over 8 days if the stake is inserted in a manner that avoids damaging vital organs. This is largely dependent on how the stake is positioned. If it follows the spine, vital organs may remain unharmed, enabling an individual to live for a more extended period. There is another form of impalement that is known as transversal impalement. This barbaric practice involves driving a spike through the body from the front to the back, with the possibility of it passing through the chest and heart. During the time of the Holy Roman Empire, Transversal impalement was often used as a method of execution for women who were accused and convicted of killing their own children. These women were treated similarly to witches and had stakes driven through their hearts before being buried in unmarked graves, leaving them with a gruesome and inhumane end. Scorching was another brutal method of execution that has been used throughout history. It involves stripping the condemned person of their clothing and suspending them by a rope over a line of sharp metal hooks positioned below them. Upon release of the rope, the person would fall onto the hooks, causing excruciating pain and suffering as they were impaled. The release mechanism for the rope was usually operated by a lever or pulley, which was triggered by a guard or executioner. This slow and agonizing death could take hours or even days for the person to die, leaving a lasting impression on those who witnessed it. Such cruel methods of execution highlight the darkness that humanity is capable of and remind us to strive toward a more humane and compassionate society. Historical records suggest that impalement was a gruesome execution method that was practiced in various parts of the world. Some reports suggest that the victims were hanged by their necks from the battlements of city walls, or were subjected to extreme agony for as long as 30 to 40 hours by being tossed onto hooks attached all over the walls below. In some instances, the victims were able to break free and move from one hook to another, prolonging their suffering. There were other methods of impalement that were equally brutal. For instance, hanging by the ribs involved piercing a person's ribs with a sharp hook and then abandoning them to experience a gradual and excruciating demise. During the Second World War, the Japanese employed bamboo as a means of tormenting prisoners of war. They would secure the victim above a bamboo shoot, which would rapidly grow and penetrate their body, causing unimaginable suffering. Impalement was a prevalent form of execution in Europe for numerous offenses, such as hearsay and murder. Frequently, particularly heinous crimes resulted in a combination of execution methods, including breaking on the wheel and impalement. This meant that the victim would suffer through being beaten on the wheel before being impaled, prolonging their agony. Furthermore, impalement was often used in conjunction with beheading, where the victim's head was first severed before their body was impaled on a stake. In some cases, impalement was also used as a form of torture. The victims were not necessarily sentenced to death, but they were subjected to this horrific punishment to extract information or confessions. In some cultures, impalement was seen as a form of public punishment, meant to send a message to the rest of society about the consequences of breaking the law. During the 15th century, Vlad the Impaler gained notoriety for his frequent use of impalement as a method of execution. He would often use this brutal form of punishment to deal with his enemies, resulting in numerous deaths. The capital of Vlad's territory, in particular, was known for its forest of 20,000 impaled corpses in various stages of decay, which was said to have deterred the Turks from attacking Vlad's land. Interestingly, Vlad's cruelty and violence inspired the character of Dracula, a classic figure in horror literature. However, impalement was not just a means of punishment for Vlad, it was also a propaganda tool. The horrific visual of impaled bodies struck fear into the hearts of his enemies, and many people around the world became wary of his wrath, thus avoiding invading his country. This savage method of execution was utilized by various rulers throughout history, and each put their own spin on it. It was used to punish a wide variety of crimes, from hearsay to treason and murder. Today, impalement is remembered mainly as Vlad the Impaler's weapon of choice. It remains a brutal and gruesome method of execution that is not used anywhere in the world today. Its use in history serves as a stark reminder of the savagery of past rulers and the extreme measures they were willing to take to maintain power. As we come to the end of our exploration of the brutal practice of impalement and other gruesome methods of execution, It's important to reflect on the darker aspects of human history. While we may feel fortunate to live in an age of more humane justice systems, we must not forget the lessons of the past. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the longest-standing execution methods ever used by humanity. If you found this video informative, please consider sharing it with others and subscribing to our channel for more thought-provoking content.